Okay,
All right.
Prashant, all good to go.
All right. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. The last session of the day. Glad you made it. And good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are right now. So, the last topic for today's conference is implementing Microsoft Teams governance using Power Automate, Microsoft Graph APIs, and SharePoint. Who am I? My name is Prashant G. Bhoyar. I was born and raised in India. I came to United States back in 2007. I'm University of Maryland College Park alumni. I co-authored a book, PowerShell for Office 65. I also acted as a technical reviewer for the book Pro SharePoint 2013 administration. I am from Washington DC area, and I organize a lot of community events in this region. And I also run three user groups. One is on AI and machine learning. Second one is on Microsoft 365 or Office 65, and third one is on SQL. We recently organized Global Azure Data Fest, which was on July 2nd. We are in the process of organizing another free virtual event, which is on 31st of July. If you are interested in speaking or if you're interested in attending, just go and check us out on meetup.com. We have all the links available there. Also organize a global AI bootcamp. This year, most likely, the event will happen on in January. We'll see, depending on the situation with COVID, whether it's going to be in-person event or it's going to be virtual event only. Along with AI and ML events, I also help organize SharePoint Saturday events. I am recipient of Antarctic Service Medal, and I'm also recipient of Microsoft MVP Award since 2017. And those of you who are not familiar with this award, so I don't work for Microsoft. It's just the additional recognition Microsoft gives out to the folks who does technical contributions in various product categories, and those contributions can be in the form of writing books, writing blog articles, answering people's questions on various forums, creating training videos and posting them on YouTube or various other channels, and also speaking at the conferences. So when I got awarded for the first time in 2017, I was SharePoint MVP. And then in 2019, which is last year, I changed that to AI. And this award is valid for 12 months only. And after 12 months, you have to apply for renewal. And typical cycle is from July 1st to June 30th. So we just got to know the results of our renewal application last week, which is on July 1st. So I'm got awarded for additional year in the AI category. And I currently work as solution architect at Witham Digital. We are based in United States, and we have offices in India as well. And I focus on intelligent business process automation, where I use a lot of products or services in Microsoft 365, in Power Platform, and in Azure and Microsoft AI Stack as well. So this is the information about our company. We have 3 Microsoft MVPs on the staff. We have done 100 plus cloud deployments, and we have 50 plus consultants dedicated to Microsoft Stack only. And these are the various capabilities that we have. So if you are interested, you can go to this link and find us out. And also I will be posting this link in the chat window as well. So let's talk about the agenda. So I will start with discussing some of the key components of Microsoft Teams. Then we will touch base upon Microsoft Teams governance, and the governance will be very high level overview, and then how we can automate some of the governance concepts in the teams. And when it comes to automation, what are some of the options available to us? We will discuss that, and we'll talk about Microsoft Graph APIs, and I will have demos using Microsoft Power Automate and Logic Apps. Even though I mentioned Q&A towards the end, feel free to ask your questions at any time because your questions will not only help me, but other folks in the room as well. All right, someone say we cannot see your screen. Sorry about that. Looks like I forgot to start sharing. So doing it now, and let me know if you can see my screen. All right, looks like you can. So
yes,
perfect.
Yep, can see your screen. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I totally forgot. And thank you very much for reminding that. So When it comes to team, these are the standard functionality we get with teams. One is the chat. Then you get teams, you get channels, you get meetings, you have voice, you can add like custom maps, you can add bots, and you can also add connectors as well. And one thing to note here is the additional add-on licenses are available, such as the audio conferencing, the toll-free numbers, and phone system as well. So when it comes to automated governance, there are various options available to us. One of the options is having some kind of retention policies, where you specify, okay, when a team is created after 2 years or after 3 years, that team should get deleted automatically. If you would like to control who in your organization can create the team, then you can have a security groups for teams where if I'm a member of that security group, then only I will be able to create a team. If someone is not, then they will not be able to create a team at all. You can also set the expiration policies, like when the team will get expire, and then you can also have team naming policies, like if you would like to have any kind of prefix, or if you would like to have any suffix, or if you would like to have any naming convention that you would like to follow, or if you would like to avoid using any kind of keywords while creating a new team, you can do that. And and all these things that I mentioned, when it comes to governance, we can do this automatically, and there are various options available to us. But why we should consider automated governance? Like when it comes to governance, you can do that manually and you can do that automated way. But when you do it in an automated way, what it helps you to do, it helps you to ensure the consistency. It also empowers the users, and also one of the key thing is it reduces the admin overhead. Like if you have automated governance, your admins will have to spend less time when it comes to managing your overall team's infrastructure. uh, Ever since the COVID-19 pandemic has started, the usage of teams has skyrocketed. The last stats I found from Microsoft is right now there are like more than 17 millions active users who are using teams. So with that, the usage of teams has like skyrocketed, and that also has resulted in having a kind of team sprawl where you have like pretty much any organization is using teams, they will have a tons and tons of teams that got created, and then the IT has to manage all these teams. So one of the ways to have automated governance is having a proper team naming policies, because it helps you to manage the growth of the teams, the groups, and the SharePoint. Those of you who are very new to the team, when you create a new team, along with that, you get an Office 65 group and you get a SharePoint site collection as well. So having a proper naming convention is very, very important, because you cannot really rename the team. That means you can rename it display name, but its internal name, you cannot really do that. So if you have a team naming policies, what you can do is you can add prefix or suffix to define the naming. That means you can have, let's say if you're creating a team for internal versus creating a team for external people, that means you would like to collaborate not only with your team members, but you would like to collaborate with some of your clients who are not part of your organization. Then you can have some kind of prefix where if like external, if the team start with external, that means you will have a guest, and that means this team contents will get shared with the people who are not in your organization as well. You can also use some custom block words if you would like to prevent using some of the keywords while creating teams. You can also do that. You can set the expiration policies, because the last thing you would like to have is you have like a lot of teams got created because someone was testing something and then they forgot to delete that team. So you can, so that way, if you don't have a proper expiration policy, that means you will have lots and lots of teams got created, but nobody is deleting those. And then at the end of the day, your tenant will have too many resources, and that have impact on the performance. The more teams you have, the more content you have, the performance of your Microsoft 365 tenant suffers. Microsoft does a really good job, but they also have a limitation in terms of how much capacity they can support. So the more content you have, the more performance hit you will see. So how the expiration policies work is the owners get notified to renew the team as the expiration nears, and they get an email notification 30 days, 15 days, and 1 day prior to the expiration. And unless they hit renew now, after some days, the team will get deleted, and the team will get stored in the recycle bin. That means you will have some fixed timeline before you can restore that team. But after that, the team will get deleted permanently. But this is a good way of having like having expiration policies will help you definitely in the long run, especially if you are creating a team for to work on a project, and let's say that project ended in 6 months, and after 1 year you got an email notification site, do you really need to have this team, or you can delete it. So depending on your organization policy, you can decide whether to renew it, or you can just delete it. The second thing is content expiration. So when it comes to the expiration policies, the owner gets notification in the order that are listed here, like 30 days, 15 days, and it gives to option to renew at these intervals. And if for some reason, let's say you had only single owner for a team, and that owner got email notification, but that owner was out of the office and the team got deleted automatically, and you need to restore that. So you will have a 30 days after expiration to restore that team. That's why it's very, very important. Whenever you are creating a team, you should always have more than one owner. That way, let's say if someone is on vacation or someone is not able to connect to the internet, then you will have other owners who can manage the team and take a necessary action. You can also limit how who can create the teams in your organization. So by default, everyone can create team in your Microsoft or Office 365 tenant. Now here there are two different school of thoughts. The Microsoft thinking is everybody should be empowered to create the teams, but you will see a lot of organization where they would like to have a tighter control over who can create the team. So if you are in the second category where you would like to have tighter control, then you can use security groups for team creation, where if I'm a member of this particular security group, then only I will be able to create a team. Otherwise, I will not be able to create a team. However, for all the options that were listed for automated governance, there is a catch. You need additional licensing for that. For example, you need Azure Active Directory Premium Plan 1, which provides you additional governance features to supplement teams, which include the teams naming policy, the expiration policy, and having a security group for teams creator. So this will not be part of your existing Office 365 or Microsoft 365 subscription, and you need to subscribe for it additionally. Uh, my personal recommendation is if you can afford, then definitely go with Azure AD Premium Plan 1, because along with all the automated governance options listed here, you get additional benefits like conditional access policies, the password protection, the advanced security and research usage report, and many more options features you get with Azure AD Premium Plan 1. Uh, if you would like to have retention policies, then you need to have at least Office 365 Enterprise E3 or above to have or to get to take the advantage of retention policies. So in the next section, what we will do is we will cover what if you don't have uh, this additional licenses, and if you still would like to implement automated governance. So what are some of the options that we have in case if you don't want to go with Azure AD Premium, and if you want to have a proper naming convention in your team's creation, then some of the things we can do, I will be discussing this in the next section. But before that, let me see if there are any questions in the chat window. All right. So far there are none. And hi, Razvan. If you have any question, feel free to use the option raise your hand in team, or just type your question or ask your question in the unmute yourself and ask the question. And if you are interested, if you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, I just posted the link of my LinkedIn profile. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the talk, if you are interested joining us for a free conference on July 31st, these are the links for that. So teams have teams templates where you will have a pre-built definition for a team, including channels and app. When it comes to the team template, these are the properties that are supported right now. So what should be the base template type? What should be the team name, team description, team visibility, whether it's a public or private, team settings like the members, the guests, the ad mentions, whatever the apps you would like to have install in that, and some pre tabs. What are the properties which are not supported yet is team membership, team picture, channel setting, connectors, and files and content. But team templates are an excellent way to have some kind of governance where, let's say, you would like to create a team to work or to collaborate on a project. And if you are going with a team's template, then you can have a reference template where you have already install the apps that you will be using. For example, if you are using Azure DevOps, then those kind of apps should or can already be added into your team. If you are using any third-party bots, you can add those bots into your reference team. You can also configure the tabs, the team visibility setting, and then you use that team as a reference while creating the future team. So that way, whenever a new team gets created for a project, all these things are automatically there for you. You don't have to spend time in configuring that. So that helps you having a consistency in terms of what kind of contents, what kind of tabs your team will have. And when it comes to the templates, these are the out of the box template that we have in Microsoft Teams, which is standard education class, education staff team, education PLC team, retail store, sport, and hospital. So when it comes to creation of teams, you can either start with the standard team or you can use this template as well. So let's say now you want to create a new team and you want to automate that so that you can have a proper naming convention and you can have a proper template, a reference template that you can use. And you want to build a application around that, but you don't want to pay for additional Azure Active AD premium license. So you can build a simple application using Microsoft Power Automate uh, and Graph APIs and SharePoint, where using SharePoint, you create a form which enables your users to submit the information like, okay, I need a new team, and this is the form I will be submitting in SharePoint. And then you ask some information like, what shall be the name of the team, what's the department, and some additional information like the purpose of the team and the members and the owners information. And the user submit the form. It goes through approval process, like someone from the IT is there to approve it. If the request is approved, then the team gets created automatically. Uh, and when the team gets created with proper naming convention. And I mentioned here to have a form, you can use SharePoint, but you can use other technologies as well. Like SharePoint is not, let's say, a mandatory here. You can create a form using Microsoft 365 forms as well, or you can create a custom form using Power App as well. So it's up to you in what format you want to create the form. And when it comes to automatic provisioning of the team, so these are the options are available to us as of today. So you can use a combination of a Flow plus Microsoft Graph APIs. But to call Microsoft Graph APIs from Flow, you need a Power Automate Premium license. And if you are getting Teams license through Office 365 or Microsoft 365 subscription, the Power Automate Premium license is not bundled with that. So you have to subscribe for that additionally. You can use combination of Flow, Microsoft Graph APIs, and combination of Azure Function. To use Azure Function, you need to have Azure Subscription, and along with that, to call Microsoft Graph APIs through Flow, you need to have Power Automate Premium license. Same you can do with Azure API apps, or you can use Logic Apps and the Microsoft Graph API. If you go with this option, only thing you need is you need Azure Subscription to host Logic Apps. You can use the combination of Logic Apps, Microsoft Graph APIs, and Azure Functions as well. You can use combination of Logic Apps, Microsoft Graph APIs, Azure API apps. If you don't have Azure subscription and you cannot afford, or your organization cannot afford to have a Power Automate Premium license, Then you can also create custom PowerShell scripts, and through those PowerShell scripts you call Microsoft Graph APIs, and then you host those PowerShell scripts using the Windows scheduled task on a Windows server or on a Linux server. However, I don't recommend this approach because then you will have a single point of failure. Same thing you can do is where you write a console application using C Sharp, and through that console application, you call the Microsoft Graph APIs to create a team, and then you host that console application on a Windows server, and you can either call that manually or you can call that using a scheduled task. Again, I don't recommend this approach because this is old school kind of development approach, and you will have a single point of failure here. But if you have no other option, that means your organization is small and you cannot have Azure subscription and you cannot afford to have Power Automate premium license, you can use this last two options. In today's talk, the demo I'll be showing you is using the Flow and Microsoft Graph APIs and using Logic Apps and Microsoft Graph APIs. So before I go further, any questions so far? And I'm using dual screen so I can see the chat window as well. So as I mentioned, use the feature of raise your hand or type your question or just unmute yourself. All right, I take that as a no. So let's talk about what is Power Automate. If you are not familiar with Power Automate, it's one of the product inside Microsoft Power Platform, and it is built for the process automation. Even if let me go back to the previous slide as well. So if you look at Microsoft ecosystem in general, you can divide the Microsoft ecosystem into three major parts when it comes to the development and when it comes to the usage. First, we have Microsoft public cloud called Azure. Then under productivity, we have Microsoft 365. And under the low code platform, we have Microsoft Power Platform. And Microsoft Power Automate is part of this Microsoft Power Platform. And it's basically for automating the task. So one of the key advantage of using Microsoft Power Automate is you can create automation and you can integrate that automation with various applications using your organization data. So even though this product is from Microsoft, you are no longer tied up. You no longer have a restriction where, okay, this product will only work with Microsoft ecosystem product. That's not true. You can write automation using something like Twitter, which is not Microsoft product, or you can have automation which integrates with Salesforce, with AWS, with MailChimp. So there are multiple connectors available, and you can have a very complicated or sophisticated business process automation, which not only talk with your Microsoft data, but the data which resides in other third-party applications as well. When this product got launched, it used to call Microsoft Flow, but during Ignite last year, Microsoft announced that they are renaming this product as a Power Automate now. So you will be still creating the flows under Power Automate, but under Power Automate now we now have more capabilities. That means we can create business process flows and we can also create UI flows as well. Now let's talk about Microsoft Graph APIs, because you will need to use Graph APIs to automatically create Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Graph API is a gateway to the data and intelligence that is stored in Microsoft 365. And it offers a single endpoint, which is graph.microsoft.com, to provide access to rich people-centric data and insight exposed as a resource of Microsoft 365. So if without Microsoft Graph APIs, let's say you are a customer of Microsoft 365 or Office 365, and your data resides in Exchange, your data resides in Planner, your data resides in SharePoint, in Microsoft Teams. If you would like to use APIs apart from Graph APIs, then you need to access the individual endpoints of these particular services. That means for get the data from SharePoint, you need to access the SharePoint APIs. To get the data from Exchange, you have to access the data from Exchange APIs. And if you see the underlying documentation from Microsoft, the API calls or the endpoint names will be different. So what Microsoft has done is instead of like the developers have to worry about what's the endpoint I had to call if I had to integrate with SharePoint or if I had to integrate with Exchange, they made a top layer called Graph APIs. And if you make a call using Graph API to SharePoint, then under the hood, it will be still calling the individual SharePoint APIs. But we, as a developer, are protected from that, and we don't have to worry about what should be the individual name. So it's a graph.microsoft.com is a single endpoint that we have to remember. And then we can, using that endpoint, we can call or connect with the various services that are there under Microsoft 365. So it exposes the REST API and the client libraries to access data, which can be in Delve, Excel, Microsoft Bookings, Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, OneNote, Exchange, Planner, SharePoint, Workplace Analytics. If you are a Dynamics customer, you can also get that data as well. And also you can get the security and mobility data as well along with that. And you can get the data from Dynamics 365 Business Central as well. So before I go into the demo of this, I want to pause here and see if you have any questions so far. All right, I take that as a no. So let me exit from the PowerPoint here. And the first thing I would like to show you here is Microsoft Graph API Explorer. So those of you who are not familiar with this, so you can also follow these steps along with me. If you can have a browser on the device that you're using. So just search for Microsoft Graph API using your favorite browser and favorite search engine, and then just click on this link here. So here you will see the complete documentation of what this Graph APIs are, how to get started. But one of the key thing I really like about this Graph API is this Graph Explorer. So click on this link. So Microsoft has created this Graph Explorer for us, which we can use to make the calls to the Graph APIs without building a sample application. So when it comes to testing the APIs, traditionally, you have three options available. You can use API testing tools, something like Fiddler or Postman, or you write your own application. If you are from if you are familiar with C#, then console application to test the APIs out. However, Microsoft has built this application called Graph Explorer, using which you can test APIs. And by default, this Explorer comes with the pre-populated data, and various calls are located here. Like if I had to get the profile information, all I had to do is click on this Get button, and whatever the call we had to make will be get added here, and whatever the response that will come back, that will get added here. The calls and the response that is coming back is actually coming back with the pre-populated data that Microsoft has uploaded. But what if I had to try this Graph API against my tenant's data? Then you also have an option for that. All you had to do is in the left-hand navigation, click on this link, sign into Graph Explorer. And then you will get a login prompt. And then sign up with your Office 365 or Microsoft 365 account. If you are doing this for the first time, it will ask you for the consent. And you can, once you give the consent, then now you can make the calls against your own tenant's data. So it comes with a lot of pre-populated calls here, and those calls are divided into various categories. The thing that we're looking for is Microsoft Teams. So if you expand Microsoft Teams, so here you see the various endpoints available for you. If I have to get whatever the teams I'm part of, just click on this one, and you see here this one, the endpoint URL to get whatever the teams I'm part of is here. And then if there any issue with terms of authentication, you will get this error where, okay, you need to consent to permission. So if I click on this particular modify permissions tab, it will tell me what kind of consent I have to give additionally. So if I give consent to this one, yes. And then the next one is this one. So once I give all the consent, I should be able to retrieve the data. So I personally and we and other developers in my organization, we use this Graph Explorer a lot, especially let's say I'm building a new application and I want to quickly find out what kind of API call I have to make, what kind of information I have to pass in the form of a request, and in what format the data will come back and what will be the response code. I normally use this Explorer because I can quickly test the API. And once I have the information, what kind of call I had to make, then after that, I just had to implement that call in the custom application I'm building. So now you can see once I click run query, so I get a response back in terms of all the teams that I'm currently part of. Let me close the door real quick. All right. So now the thing that we are looking for is we would like to automate the creation of teams. That means I would like to find out what should be the call I should make whenever I need to create a team. So that particular option is not available here, but that's fine. I can just quickly go to uh, the API reference docs here. And on this one, in the left-hand navigation, you will see the grouping of various grouping depending on various services or products we have. So the product we are looking for is teamwork. So if I expand that, let me see. Yep. And then here, if I expand the team, and then here I will see what should be the call I had to make to create a new team. And here you'll see a nice documentation on what kind of permission you need when you're making this call, because uh, you need to have you whatever the application you are using, whether it's a Power Automate or whether it's a console application or your custom single page application, that application needs to have a proper rights to your Azure Active Directory to make this call. And so these are the applications permission you need, and this is the HTTP request you have to make. These are the information you have to pass in the header, and this is the sample call that you had to do. And the sample call information is mentioned in various languages like C#, JavaScript, Objective-C, and Java. So once you know what kind of call you have to make, the next step will be is then to use this Graph API call into the Power Automate. So let me first walk you through the solution, like show you the implementation or working solution, and then I will show you how I have implemented that. So for that, all I have is a simple SharePoint list. And again, SharePoint list is optional here. You can also use something like Microsoft Forms as well, where if your organization is not familiar with SharePoint, you can go with that. Which that product is similar to SurveyMonkey, where you create a form and you can have your users from your organization or anonymous users can quickly fill out information. So here I have a form where I'm asking the users what should be the name of your team. So in this case, I'll be typing Teams Collaboration Saturday. Then what's the purpose? This. And then the department, depending on like what kind of convention you have to use for naming convention, you can use the combination of various fields here. So the demo I have here is what I'm doing is whenever a new team gets created, I'm adding the prefix of the department in the team's name, so that whenever admin is seeing the teams, he can quickly know, okay, this team is for this department. So I'm taking this as a Teams Collaboration Saturday, and the marketing team is organizing this. So I'll be, or the sales team. So the department is sales. The rest of the status and the teamwork exist. I'm just keeping that as I'm not going to update that right now. I just have this column so I can show you the status gets updated after the team gets created, and the information about the owners, who should be the owners, and who should be the users. And then click save. As soon as this gets saved, there is a Power Automate which is running in the backend, which gets start whenever a new entry is created in this list. So the trigger for this is whenever a new item is gets created in that team's request list. And then I am initializing few variables, which I will coming back to next. First is application ID, directory tenant ID, and client secret. And the first step I'm doing is I'm starting the approval process. That means because I just don't want the teams get created automatically. I want to have a human intervention where whenever a user submits a request for a new team, it has to go through proper approval. So it will go through approval. And if the admin approves it, then only we will make the call to the Graph API and create the team. Okay. And while creating the team, we will use the combination of the department and the title. So let me quickly show you here. So got a notification that I got an email notification regarding the approval. So when you use the approval in Power Automate, there are two ways you can take action on the task. One is you get an automatic email and you can take the action here, or you can also go to your Microsoft Flow link. And inside that, if you go to the approvals tab into the left hand navigation, you'll get all the approvals that are pending for your action. So this one is the same as the email I got here. So I have two options to take on this one. I can take action directly from from the email, or I can go to this flow UI and I can take action on this one. So here I will be just taking the action here. So I'm just approve, and then the reason is looks great, and these comments are option, and then click submit. Now after this, the flow will proceed further, and if everything is good, the team will get created. Okay, looks like the team got created. So let me open up my Teams UI, and here if I refresh this, I should see, or without even doing auto refresh, I am seeing the newly created teams in my Teams tab, or in my left hand navigation. And the name this team has used is sales, and then which is the department, and then the name of the team, which is Teams Collaboration. Now let me quickly walk you through the implementation of this. So one thing is you have to keep in mind is whenever you have to make any call to the Graph APIs, you need to register your application into the Azure Active Directory. And the reason you have to do that, so that way Graph APIs can know from where the request is coming from, whether the request is coming from the genuine party, and what kind of access this particular application has. So to register your application, it's very simple. All you have to do is go to your Azure Active Directory. If you don't know how to go to the Azure Active Directory, just type portal.azure.com. Or if you're not familiar with this, just go to your Office 365 portal. And if you are admin, or depending on your role, you will see Azure Active Directory link in the left hand navigation. So if I click on show all here, so this is the link I'm talking about. So once you go here, you will go to this particular portal where if I click on Azure Active Directory, then the link, the option we are looking for is app registration here. And on this particular page, you will see already by default, it will show you all the application that you have registered. But if you click on all applications tab, you will see the application that your organization has registered, and this is depend on your access level. So I am a tenant admin here, so I can see everything. And if I had to register a new application, all I have to do is click new. Then let's give it a name. We'll call it as Teams Collaboration Saturday. Create new. And let me see if I should, yeah, let me zoom it a bit. And then what kind of, who can access this? So I will go with the accounts in the organization directory itself. And the redirect URI is optional, and then just click register. So once this is registered, the next thing we have to do is we have to provide the permission. So what kind of permission this will have? So by default, it will have the user read, but then I can also add the permission here. And by default, you will see a lot of different APIs from Microsoft ecosystem that you can add here. On the top, you will see Microsoft Graph API, but along with that, you'll also see other APIs that are available, like the Office 365 management APIs, Power Apps, Runtime Service, the SharePoint APIs. The APIs that we're interested is Microsoft Graph API, so I'll add that. And then there are two types of permissions available when it comes to application registry in Azure. One is the delegate permission or the application permission. Depending on your use case, you can use either of that. In our application, I will be going with the application permission here. And then you have to find out what kind of permission you need. And now where you can find this information, you go to the documentation on on the Graph APIs, and here you can find out what kind of permission you need. If you're going with application permission, then these are the permission you need while creating a new team. Okay, so let's come back here and find out that. So for the group create and group read write all, and then just click add. So this will add the permission here. And once the permission are added, you have the option whether you would like to grant the admin consent for that. It's optional. I will go with grant the admin consent. So that way, I don't want the users that get that prompt whenever they're using in their custom application. And the next thing is you need to have provide the authentication type. So when it comes to authenticating your custom app through Azure Active Directory, you have there are two types available here. You can do the certificate based authentication, which is more secure, but then you need a lot of execute a lot of configuration steps. Or the second option is through the client secrets. So for this demo, I will go with client secrets here. So click on a new client secret, just give it a name, secret to create new team. And then here you can set the expiration, 1 year, 2 year, or never. I always recommend not to use never, because you don't want to have a client's secret which is available forever. So I'll go with 1 year, and you will see the value. This is just like your password. So make sure you're not sharing this value to anyone, or you're not accidentally adding this value to your source control as well. Because if I have your client secret, and if I know your directory ID and application ID, I can make the calls on your behalf. And it's depending on what kind of permission you have supplied for this app, that then you will be exposing that organization, that data to the malicious parties. So here I can do copy, and as soon as I move away from this particular page, and if I go back again to the client secret, that client secret value is, I can again access that. And for some reason, if it gets exposed, or you want to change that, you can also come to this and change that as well. So I'll be storing that into a notepad, and then I'll be quickly clicking on overview for this app, because along with the client secret, I also need the application ID and the directory ID to make the call to the Graph APIs through Power Automate or through any other application. So I configured the app. The next thing I'll be doing is I'll be going to my Power Automate here. So first thing is we are setting the trigger whenever a new request is received in SharePoint. Start this Power Automate, then configure the variables. The first thing is we need the application ID, the directory ID, and the client secret. And the application ID and the directory ID, you will get it from here. So this is the application ID, this is the directory ID. And if you go to the certificates and secrets, you will get the client secret here. The next action we are doing is we are starting an approval. So the action we are using is start an approval, so that it will go through approval process. If the request gets approved, then the first call we are doing is we are getting the user's the unique identifier or the UPN. The reason we need that is, but whenever we create a new team or a group, we need to provide the name of or the ID of the default owner. And that's why we first need to do is get the information about that. Okay, interesting question. It is safe to have those secrets detail in your Power Automate. It's excellent question. So you can treat Power Automate as same as writing your source, writing, let's say, a traditional JavaScript application or traditional C# application. When you write those application, you have to store those secrets somewhere. As long as, like, let's say if I create a Power Automate here and I have my client secret here, by default, only the owner of this Power Automate can see that. So right now I am the owner, and the recommended practice while creating the Power Automate is you should have multiple owners. That means let's say I'm using a service account for my organization, or I'm using a specific Office 65 group as an owner, then only those people will see that client ID and client secret in Power Automate. So as long as the owners are trusted people, yes, then it will be safe. Uh, and just like any other uh, 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 development platform, if you are exporting this Power Automate, then you shouldn't be adding that to your public GitHub, because when you export a Power Automate, it exports a JSON file, and that JSON file will have this additional information that you don't want to export, like add into your public GitHub or into your source code repository. So those kind of additional things you have to keep in mind. That's why I mentioned certificate based authentication is preferred, but it takes a lot of time and efforts to configure that. So let's say once it's approved, the next thing we are doing is we are making the call to the Graph APIs, and the action we are using is HTTP. So if I click on plus and add an action, then just look for the action HTTP. And one thing I want to highlight here is, if you see, the HTTP action is a premium action. That means you need to have a premium Power Automate license to use this action. That means if you are using Power Automate through your Microsoft 365 or through your Office 365 license, chances are this will not be covered in that. And then the first thing we are doing is we are making the call, which is a post. And if you are dealing with this APIs for the first time, then you just go to this particular link, find out information on this Graph API page, what kind of operation you have to do with. So here you'll see post or put, and then what kind of call you have to make. And then what kind of information you had to pass. So once you have that information handy, so this is the one we had. The URI is this, which is http graph.microsoft.com/beta/teams. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind, the Teams API are still in the beta mode. That means you shouldn't be using this in production. Or even if you are using in production, just watch out if Microsoft is doing any changes in that. Generally, Microsoft won't do any changes that will break your implementation, but they still reserve all the rights when it comes to the beta APIs. And then in the body, we are passing this information. And if you're not sure what kind of information you have to paste in the body, just go to this particular page and find out the information about, sorry, where is that? Um, Wait, which call I'm using? Here I'm using the Teams. Okay, post. Okay, then you just find out the information about that from here. Like if you go to C#, or if you go to the HTTP, in this format I have to make, and this is the information that I had to pass to that particular call. And then here, if you see um, in the template, I am providing the information as a standard template. If you remember in the beginning of the talk, I mentioned you can provide the template or which are out of the box, or you can create your own template and pass that as well. So here you have an option what kind of template you would like to use. While configuring the display name, it's up to you what kind of combination you have to use. Since I want to use some kind of naming convention, I'm using the combination of department name and the title of the team, then the description and the default owner, which is going to be the user who submitted this particular request. And then once everything is done, what we an additional thing we have to pass is what kind of authentication that needs to happen. So the authentication is through Azure Active Directory. And this is the standard information that you will need to pass if you go with the authentication type Azure Active Directory OAuth, where you have to provide the tenant ID, the client ID, and the secret. And if everything goes fine, then the new team will get created. And the additional step I'm doing is whenever a new team gets created, I am just updating the status of the request as approved and sending a name to whoever submit this application, this request, that the new team got created, and this is the link to your team. So it's very simple implementation, not very complicated, but still we could have automated governance using the combination of Graph APIs and Microsoft Flow without having to use Azure Active Directory Premium 1 license, where we can have a proper approval when it comes to creating the teams, and we can also have a proper naming convention. Now, as I mentioned before, to use this HTTP connector, you need to have a premium license. What if you don't have that? Then the second option we have is we can use a logic app for that. And those of you who are not familiar with a logic app, let me give you a quick overview of that. Logic apps are a workflow engine in Microsoft Azure. So it's basically a cloud service that helps you to schedule, automate, orchestrate tasks, business processes, workflows when you need to integrate apps, data system, and services across enterprises or organization. Uh, it builds on the serverless principles. That means Microsoft will host that for you. You don't have to host that in-house. And it scales automatically to meet the demand, and it allows developers to not worry about building or hosting or scalability. All you have to do is just build application, hosting, scalability, availability, everything else Microsoft will take care for you. And there are a lot of many connectors available, and you can connectors available across the cloud and on-premise. And just like your Power Automate, your Logic app also begins with a trigger. Now, if you see in the right hand section, this UI looks a lot familiar with Power Automate. The reason for that is Power Automate is built on the top of Logic App. So if you look at Azure, if you had to visualize the relationship between the Azure Logic Apps and Power Automate, you can follow this diagram where Azure is Microsoft public cloud offering, and Logic App is the workflow engine in Azure, and Power Automate is built on the top of Logic App. However, there is a considerable difference when it comes to the feature parity. There are some features which are common, but there will be some other features which are only available in Logic Apps, and there will be some features will be only available in Power Automate. For example, business process flows, UI flows, additional actions like the SharePoint approvals are only available in Power Automate and not in Logic App. And also the licensing is different. Logic App is purely based on consumption. They are very, very cheap to start with. However, depending on your consumption, you have to pay more. Whereas Power Automate license is a little bit different. It comes with the two format right now. It either per user basis or per app basis. And Power Automate license is included for free with Microsoft or Office 365 subscription. Another key thing is, since Power Automate is built on the top of Logic App, we can, let's say you build a Power Automate and then you hit the licensing constraint where you're using something called HTTP trigger to action to make API calls. But now, since that's a paid, we had to have a premium license for that. You can export and convert your flow into a Logic App, and using Logic App, then you can call that, and your subscription or pricing model will be different now. Instead of paying per flow or per user basis, which is more on higher side, you will be just paying based on the consumption or execution. So there is already a button available in the Flow UI where you can export your flow as a Logic App template. And then you can create a new template deployment to create a Logic App based from the template, and you can deploy that to the Azure. Let's see now a demo of the same implementation using the Logic App. While I'm showing the demo, feel free to know if you have any questions. So I already have created this Logic App, and the trigger for this is whenever a new item is created in the same SharePoint list. Before I'm showing you this demo in action, let me go back and disable this particular flow that I have. The reason for that is both this flow and Logic App is working against the same list. So I just want to have only one kind of automation running at a time, which will be either flow or Logic App. So I just disable this flow. Now let me go back to the Logic App and quickly click on enable here. And let me quickly walk you through its implementation. So it's pretty much built on the same business logic where it will start whenever a new item gets created in the SharePoint list. I'm going through the initialization of the variables. First is the application ID, then the direct tenant ID and the client secret. And instead of using the approval action, which is available in Power Automate, because that action is not available. I'm using a different action called send approval email. So now the approval will be a little bit different, but I will be still having some kind of approval here where the approval will happen through email. And once the approver approves this, then I'm using the same kind of call where first I'm getting whoever submitted this, their UPN, and then I'm making the exact same call. So the call you are seeing here and the call you will be seeing in the Power Automate will be the identical. So this tells you that these two products are similar. Only thing is few things will be different. Now let me quickly submit a request for a new team. And this time we will be using the Logic app to provision the new team. So I'll be calling this as teams, or this time I will be calling this as Dynamics D365 Saturday. And the department this time will be IT. And the purpose will be D365 Saturday event, and click save and just click submit this. So now let's go back to the Logic app here. And now the Logic app should start and it should send an email approval. And I should receive an email very quickly. And once I take action via the email, the team will get created. I know we are running towards the end of the talk. So what I'll do is while we are waiting for the email, I'll be just quickly covering a few things I want to cover in the slides. So in case you are interested learning about more about Microsoft Teams and also Power Automate, Power Apps, and you don't have an environment where you have full access, you get advantage of something called Microsoft 365 Developer Tenant, where you have to go to this link and sign up for Office 365 Developer Program. And once you sign up, you get your personal Microsoft 365 tenant with E5 subscription for free. And it comes with 25 users, and the subscription will be valid for 3 months. And depending on your usage, Microsoft may extend that trial for additional 3 months as well. So this is a really, really excellent way to quickly try out new things, especially if you want to try out certain settings using the tenant admin privileges, or if you want to have a dedicated sandbox where you have all the access and you want to play something, you play with Teams development or Power Apps or Power Automate development or SharePoint development. This is an excellent way to get your personal tenant. You can always sign up for the free trial as well. Since the demos we cover the Azure Logic apps. So for that, you need Azure subscription. And if you want to learn that, there are multiple ways where you can get a personal Azure subscription. The recommended one is if you have an MSDN account, then via MSDN account, you get certain credits for free per month. Or you can also sign up for the free trial. And right now, for if you sign up for the free trial, if you are in the US, then you are getting $200 credit for free that you can use within the next 12 months. You can also join another program from Microsoft called Microsoft Imagine, where you don't need a credit card, but you need a valid.edu account from a participant school or institution. And let's say if I have an account from a school, and if that school is participating in Microsoft Imagine program, you may get a personal Azure subscription with limited feature set for free as well. So these are the things we covered today. Hopefully the contents we covered today made you explore the governance option and automatic creation of Microsoft Teams. If you don't have access to the Office 365 or Microsoft 365, and if you want to have your own tenant, you can go to this link and sign up for that. So these are the things we covered today. And these are the references. And these are my contact details. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And if you have any questions that you don't want to post publicly on Twitter, you can always email me, and my email address is mentioned here. So let's go back to the Logic app and see whether I got an email or not. All right, it's loading. Okay, so it's running and I got an email. Let me go to my inbox here. And I should see email. So if I open this one, so this one I'm looking for. So The user interface is a little bit different here because the action we are using is the email approval action. So this is the email I got via Logic app. Okay, if I click approve, then the Logic app will move forward and it should go ahead. It will go ahead and create a team if everything is fine with the Logic apps implementation. So let's go back to the Logic apps UI and see if it went ahead and created the team for us or not. So looks like it succeeded. If I go to the logs, and here also, if you look at the logs, it's pretty much the same identical user interface you will be getting that we get in Power Automate as well. So everything went fine. Now let's go back to the Teams UI and see if we see the newly created team. So you see the newly created team is there, and it has you the same naming convention that I wanted to use, where combination of a department and the name of the team. So this is the quick and easy way to quickly implement automation for the team creation. So with that, this is the end of my talk. Thank you very much for joining and dedicated your Saturday on learning team. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, stay safe and stay healthy, and hopefully we'll join you. You will join us for the future events as well. Thank you.
Well, Prashant, I have to say, I thought I was gobsmacked by Stuart's session, but you've raised the bar. Look, you've given me a target to aim for. I was really impressed. You've covered so much in such a short space of time. So I just want to thank you. Week after week, you've been, you're like a steam engine, and your sessions are just so much packed full of useful knowledge.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed. So really, honestly, guys, I have to say, really thank you to Prashant to end the event on such a high note, and again inspiring myself on how to deliver great content and make it easy to digest. I have to say. So that's Prashant's contact details there. So please follow him on Twitter. There's his blog. I'm sure it's a really fantastic blog, as well as follow him on LinkedIn. He's also speaking at some upcoming events he's posted on there, so make sure you attend. I'm sure they're going to be fantastic. So, Prashant, do you have any final words? Obviously, I think you've answered David's question already regarding the solution. So,
Yep.
do you have any announcements to make?
Final word is if you this is the first time, I know this event is hosted under Dynamics communities. But if you look at the recent announcement from Microsoft, especially after COVID-19, uh, the usage of Teams has skyrocketed. And if you see now, the latest announcement from the Teams, Microsoft, so Teams is getting a lot of attention, and sooner or later you will be using Teams a lot than what you're using now. And Teams will be your main user interface, and using that, then you will be accessing your application like the Power Apps or your Dynamics portal. So pay close attention to what's happening in the Teams environment, especially if you are from the Power Apps platform. If you are using Power Platform, then there is upcoming conference happening next week where the target audience are developers, but you'll be seeing a lot of announcements there, where you can have a really nice integration story between the Power Platform and Microsoft Teams as well. So just pay close attention to the Microsoft Teams ecosystem as well.
So, Prashant, are you referring to the the Power Dev event?
Yes.
Yeah, Power Dev event. Don Osaka, yeah?
Yes, that is
Yeah,
correct.
awesome, fantastic. Yes, everyone, please tune into that. That's going to be really good. So I think that's it, Prashant. It's been a long day for everyone today, and I think you've finished on a very strong note. So I want to thank you for that. And we will be announcing winners for the best speakers as well as attendees as well. So that will be announced in the next few weeks. So looking forward to that. And yes, so I think without further ado, I think we will finish for today. I just want to thank all the speakers. I want to thank Narayan. I want to thank Stefano. I want to thank all the speakers who presented today. This is the first time we've ever held a Teams event. We're normally running Dynamics and Power Platform events, so it's the very first time we've done that, and it was a very, it's a very good experience for us all. A very big learning curve for everyone here today. So I just want to thank everyone. I just want to thank obviously Prashant and Steve and Stuart and all the speakers, and I thank the attendees. I want to thank you all for your comments, for being interactive during the event. If you've got any final questions, please mention them in the chat window. If you've got any requirements for any further sessions, please mention them here. We will be sharing the videos later on. So we've been busy updating all the information, so we will be definitely posting the videos very, very shortly. So again, I want to thank everyone. I want you all to stay safe. We all look forward. There's many events. We have a customer service Saturday next week. We have followed by sales Saturday, the sales and marketing Saturday the week after. We have field service Saturday, and then we've got some PowerShell and Azure boot camps as well running. Certification boot camps running towards the end of the month to help you pass your exam. So we've got lots of events still to come. So yeah, lots more to announce. So please leave your comments below. So please leave your comments in the chat, and that will help us provide feedback. So again, I just want to thank everyone. Thank you, Prashant, for a fantastic session. And yeah, all have a great weekend. Stay safe, and see you all next week, or the week after, or the week after that.
Thanks, Razwan, and thanks, Nara. And I know organizing the event of this scale needs a lot of dedication, and you also invest in a lot of time as well. So thank you very much for doing everything you do for the community.
Thanks, Prashant. You're awesome. You're a great inspiration as well. Honestly, really, I'm so impressed. So thank you. And I look forward to your up and coming sessions, because you really are mind blowing. Thanks again.
Thank you. All right. Stay safe, stay healthy, everyone. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, Prashant.